Hello, this is my Animal Crossing Female Reproductive System project, and the species I'm doing is equine, so horses. Here's my little horse. Alright, so the first thing you want to do when looking at a reproductive system is start with the hypothalamus. So this little ridge up here is my hypothalamus. And a hypothalamus, its job is it's going to trigger the release of GnRH. And as you can see, this little stream right here is my GnRH. So it's releasing that. And the GnRH will go to the anterior pituitary. And this is my anterior pituitary, this whole ledge right here. And the anterior pituitary will release FSH and LH. As you can see, FSH is going to be on my left, and LH will be on my right. Alright. So, starting with the FSH is going to stimulate follicle growth. So right here are my follicles, these little flowers. It's important to note that follicles will all start to grow at the same time. However, they're going to be at different stages of growth. So right here, this big one is going to be the biggest follicle. This middle one is going to be about medium growth, and then this last one right here is going to be one that's just starting out. So they've all started at the same time, but they have different growth levels. Now, another thing follicles do is they produce estrogen. So these weeds right here are going to be the estrogen. These follicles are producing estrogen. Another thing to note with that is that more estrogen will be produced the larger the follicle. So the largest follicle is producing the most estrogen, and then the least biggest follicle is producing the least amount of estrogen. Another thing that follicles do is they produce inhibin. Now, the amount of inhibin will increase as the cycle progresses, so that's a good thing to note. Now, what the inhibin does is it goes back to the anterior pituitary, so up here, and it blocks the FSH. So we're going to do, so this blue rose is going to represent our inhibin, and it's blocking this FSH. So when it's blocking the FSH, that is a signal that the egg is ready to go. So the ovary is going to produce our eggs, and now that the FSH is being blocked by inhibin, our egg's ready to go. So we have an egg on a check mark to represent that. Alright, so when FSH production is stopped, there's going to be a surge in LH. So these waves over here are going to represent our surge in LH. It's all coming in. And we have our egg that's going to be ready to be ovulated when enough estrogen and inhibin are being produced. So the weeds and the flowers, so that's our estrogen and inhibin. We have a lot of that here. So that means that we're ready for ovulation, or it's going to cause ovulation. So if we come over here, we have a Graafian follicle, which is the same thing as a regular follicle. It's just ready to rupture when ovulation is going to occur. So when this follicle ruptures, it's going to be the location of the corpus luteum, or CL. So this is going to be our CL, right? And then what happens when the follicle ruptures and the CL comes about, it starts to fill with blood and produce progesterone. This is going to be our progesterone. Now, progesterone is going to do two things at this point. It's, for one, going to come all the way back up here to the hypothalamus, and it is going to block GnRH production. Okay? So that's the first thing that it does. The second thing that it's going to do is it's going to go back to the anterior pituitary, and it's going to make sure that there's this block on FSH. And at the same time, it's going to make sure that there's enough LH production to maintain the CL. So, at this point, we have the egg traveling down the oviduct, and it's making its way to the uterus. So, this is the egg traveling down the oviduct, and this is the egg in our uterus. Or not our uterus, but the horse's uterus. And at this point, it's either going to be fertilized or it's not going to be fertilized. So this is going to be the fertilized egg, a nice little baby. And then if it's not fertilized, then it's going to start to break down the CL. So this is going to be breaking down the CL. CL is gone now. Now, another thing it does, if the egg's not fertilized, in addition to breaking down the CL, is it's going to start to produce prostaglandin. Now, prostaglandin is going to block progesterone production. So, here is our prostaglandin, blocking progesterone. Okay, it's blocking it. And then it's going to go and lift the blockade for egg production. So basically, this block we have right here is going to be gone. FSH is going to be produced again. And the cycle is going to start all over. That is my take on the equine female reproductive system, and I hope you like it.